All right, we're on. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Sinister Sunday. This is episode number 7. With me in my panel tonight is Azag from Azag's Abyss, Mr. Evil Ops, aka Lord Husk, and joining us very soon will be Trez from Total Metal Rejection. On the docket today, we have our intro to death metal. So basically, how each of us, kind of discovered death metal. What were the first couple of bands we, discovered, and maybe some secondary and tertiary bands from there. And if we have enough time, since I know this is a really big subject for a couple of our panelists here, we will be talking about some of our favorite local acts and local bands and stuff like that. So hopefully some cool stuff to chat about tonight. And of course, I'll be checking in with the chat here and there, looking over and seeing what you guys are talking about. If you got any questions, feel free to throw them up in the chat. If you feel like supporting the channel, for $2, you can throw in a quick little question and make sure it gets answered online here with the panelists. I actually recently checked into kind of how the super chat works. Basically, it's like $2 for I think about 50 or 55 characters, and if you want like a big paragraph, I think it's around $5. So it unfortunately does like limit you a bit if you don't feel like spending a whole bunch of money to get your question answered. But if it's just like a quick little question or a comment, I think it's only $2 minimum. So there's that to consider. We're going to start off with the main topic for tonight, and that is the intro to death metal. I guess we'll start off with Austin and get his first experiences with how he got introduced to death metal, maybe what some of your first bands you were exposed to, and then maybe your evolution from there.
All right. It actually started with the subgenre melodic death metal, and I was listening to bands like Soilwork, Scar Cemetery. I was into Sonic Syndicate and all that other stuff. And then my buddy let my buddy put music on my iPod one day, and that's when I got introduced to Vader. And funny thing is, the song's very hard to find because it's only on a soundtrack, and it's called Sword of the Witcher by Vader.
Nice.
It's still my favorite song. Right now, I forgot what Vader album I have on my phone, but from there, I went into basically death. I went into Cataclysm. That's also another band I also started out on. Then I went into technical, into the brutal death metal. So my first experience, I would have to say, with Sword of the Witcher by Vader. At the time, I wasn't going any higher than melodic death metal, but that song is what intrigued me to want to listen to more of Vader. And then from there, shit started flying.
Fair enough. So your first experience with death metal was via a friend, just kind of throwing some stuff on your iPod?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. What year or how old were you when that happened?
I think I was like 13, 14, probably younger than that.
Oh yeah.
I was in high school, so yeah, I'd say about like 13.
So like grade 9 or 10 then?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So you started getting into death metal pretty early then.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. So those were your first couple bands you got introduced to. I would say like what from there, what were some like bands that you got into like maybe in grade 11 or 12 or just as you were finishing high school? How did
When I was finishing high school, funny thing is I was getting into basically more melodic death metal bands like The Unguided and stuff. But then I started getting into a little bit more death metal bands. I just forgot the names of them because I quit listening to them. Outside of high school, I got into bands like Hour of Penance. I began into Archspire. I know that's technical death metal, but just give me guys a death metal genre list.
Yeah, no worries.
Um,
Did you ever get into Darkest Hour? I don't think they're death metal, but I can't remember.
Darkest Hour, I think so.
Are they death metal? I can't remember what they sound like.
I think they're like another Machine Head to me. That's what they sound like to me.
Well,
Because the vocalist, there's one song I'll have to sing you that song later tonight. He actually sounds like the lead singer of Machine Head.
Oh yeah, cool. It's just you brought up Hour of Penance, and for some reason that like pinged a bell for Darkest Hour in my brain. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But before I end my part, getting into the Metalhead books, I mean, that's a list waiting to happen right there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if anyone started getting the Metalhead box, like during the last years of high school, they'd definitely be exposed to a lot of really good underground death metal bands for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Make a
and
good
there's one
Christmas present.
Right, and there's one death metal band, and no, it's not Horror Bethlehem, because I know that's what everyone's thinking. There's actually a death metal band that's not Horror Bethlehem, and I just gotta remember the name to it. So, move on to Azag, and then I'll probably remember the name by then.
All right, man. Fair enough. So, Mr. Abyss, what was some of your first experiences with death metal? How old were you? Were you in high school? And what was your first couple of bands you heard?
Yeah, I know we talked about last time the black metal thing I got into pretty early. I was probably like 15. Definitely didn't follow the normal progression mostly people do, like Pantera, thrash, death metal, black metal. Mine was pretty much the opposite. Didn't really start listening to death metal at all until I was well into my 20s, actually. When I was living in Japan, my roommate over there got sick of me listening to my lo-fi black metal all the time and literally threw my CD out the window and threw in The Covenant by Morbid Angel. And that was literally the first time I listened to like old school death metal. And yeah, I was pissed about my CD going out the window, but that damn Morbid Angel record was freaking incredible and just like turned a light on for me. And really ever since, Trez Off has been one of the biggest reasons I started playing guitar and stuff like that. So he bought me a new CD, but I was grateful for him for turning those guys on to me. So I kind of borrowed all those Morbid Angel records and went and took all of his all those, and then that's pretty much how I got into it. With Cannibal Corpse, it was the first 4 records. Not really huge on the new stuff, but just Chris Barnes' early vocals kind of drew me further into the genre, and that's kind of how I got into it. And really from there, it was just an explosion for old school death metal bands.
Nice. So, did you say you actually got into 6 Feet Under in the early years, or?
Yeah, I really loved the Barnes era with Cannibal Corpse, and I do still like 6 Feet Under as well. I know they get a lot of hate, but I like that groovy style they got going on. So yeah, I listen to the shit out of them. And only here recently, in the last year or so, I've been getting into a lot more slam and brutal death metal, which I didn't even really know was a thing until recently. So bands like Fecalizer, Necroexophilia, bands like that, and Archaeochrist, awesome shit.
Right. That's pretty sweet. So when did you say roughly you were introduced to death metal? Was it like early high school or?
Oh, no. Black metal was, like 15, and death metal, I was actually overseas in the military when I got into that. I was probably 22, 23 years old. I'd never listened to it other than, the generic stuff you hear when you're walking around. But yeah, that Morbid Angel when I was probably 23 was the first time I'd ever heard it.
Cool. So you had quite the unique experience then. Not many people get in the military, and B, introduced to a new music genre while in the military. So that's cool. That's a very unique kind of origin story for you there.
Yeah, like I said, it was just funny the way it happened. He walked in, he's like, "We are not listening to this lo-fi shit again." Threw my CD out the window and threw in Cannibal Corpse, and that's how it started.
You remember what? You probably already said it. I'm just being an idiot. But what was the CD that he threw out?
It was Gorgoroth. It was my first the first copy of Antichrist that I had, so I was pretty pissed.
Oh.
But he tracked down another one for me and paid out the ass for it. So I mean, we're pretty good. It's pretty even.
Yeah, that karma's a bitch then. So after the wave of like old school death metal bands, when did you start getting into like brutal death metal and slam?
Literally just in like the last year and a half.
Wow.
Aside from like Dying Fetus, I really didn't go much past that. But like I said, since coming across labels like CDN and just kind of randomly blind buying, and now I'm like, all right, this is worth looking at. Because originally it was the vocals just used to piss me off, but once I kind of opened my mind a little bit about it, and it's really started. I've been buying more of that recently than anything else, to be honest.
Yeah. It's one thing to go from like that old school death metal sound where you can almost make out what they're saying here and there, especially if you like have like the lyric book right up to your face. Then moving into like indecipherable gutturals and pink squeals and just random like toilet noises. So yeah, that can definitely take some getting used to for sure.
Yeah.
So, hey, Trez, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much, man. So, you got your stack of beer ready for the stream?
Yep, pretty much.
Very good, man. So, we already went through Husk's and Azag's intro to death metal. So that just leaves you next, man. Trez, what was some of the very first death metal bands that you got introduced to? Roughly what age or grade were you in when you heard these? And what was your experience with that?
Let's see. That had to be through my brother because he listened to more stuff than I did back in the day.
Right.
But I would have to be, I think, Morbid Angel. Like first introduction to like death metal and Monstrosity, and then I guess on my own, just going out to buy bands. First death metal album I bought was Revenant. Its album was called Prophecies of a Dying World. Never cared for the vocals. I got like Azag, I got rid of it, and then I kicking myself for getting rid of that because that's when the CDs used to come in that big cardboard. When you bought them, they used to have this big cardboard backing to it, where the CD was inside. But it would have to be Morbid Angel through my brother. But this is when I guess I was 12, I guess. Yeah.
Damn. So like just before high school.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the advantage when my brother obviously he liked got into heavier stuff and he was able to leave the house and hang out with friends before I could. So he always brought back some bands and stuff, so that I would just snag from him and just listen to. I was like, holy shit. Granted, the first time I heard Morbid Angel, I was like, what the fuck. But yeah, it was probably Morbid Angel.
Fair enough. So your brother's how much older than you?
He's about like 3 years older than I am.
3 years. So he would be in the middle of like high school and be bringing back like his experiences with bands and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. So you had like a early experience with Morbid Angel as well, I think. So you and Azag can kind of geek out about that together then.
Yeah. That was cool. Definitely Morbid Angel, yeah, man. Cool shit.
So your first introduction was like old school death metal bands then?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
All right. Where did you go from there? Like once you started like getting beyond like the old school death metal bands, or even want to name a few of the old school death metal bands and then move on from there?
Because my brother, he always liked the I guess whatever was available, like like how you have the big four in thrash. There was like that for obviously death metal with Cannibal Corpse, Obituary and Death, which I fucking loved. But I always wanted to see what was like if you saw a flyer back in the day. You always have these other bands, or you will look at when you got the CD or the tape and you unfolded the J card or whatever, or look at the booklet. You always saw the bands that you like more like Cannibal Corpse, and you saw their shirts and they had a different band on there. You're like, hey, I want to find out what the hell they're listening to, and that's how I got introduced with. Or I found I looked up Nocturnus, which was a love that band.
Yep.
I went out to get the key just because of the album art was so fucking sick, and that led me to other cool ass bands that back in the day I didn't know, and it was more of a general term, loose term, as in everything was either death metal or grindcore, and nothing got like. They didn't really branch out because the whole thing was starting off, and all these subgenres didn't branch out. So I got into a lot of like Paradise Lost, obviously early Samael that someone lent me a tape for, which was awesome, and just branching out and finding bands like Nocturnus and other cool bands like Gutted and Brutality, which is another one that I still love. And yeah, those are like the core bands that I listen to, not necessarily just your big four-ish bands, but yeah.
Right. Cool, man. That's kind of neat how we kind of discovered it a slightly different way, especially your secondary type of bands once you kind of got past the original, like, death metal bands. Like, kind of checking out the liner notes and seeing what bands they're thanking, or checking out the group photos and seeing what bands they're just kind of, like, wearing on their chest, Like, that's cool. Like, it'd be a very neat way of kind of just, like, a very... Where's Waldo type of way of finding metal, right? Just by seeing other people that are kind of wearing and just kind of checking out the pictures and be like, fuck, how's that spelled? Because, death metal, the band logos sometimes are like just like scribbles, and you're like, fuck, what does that shirt say? And then you finally like track it down. And you're like, ah, oh, awesome.
Yeah, it took forever just to find out bands that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing too, like early high school, if you're discovering a new band, you don't, for the most part, have YouTube kind of like, you watch this, we suggest you watch this as well kind of algorithm. You didn't have like 100 different death metal bands related to the one you just watched pop up, right? Like, not back then.
No, back then it was either you got it through tape trading, or your friends would just lend you CDs, or you'll get a compilation from either a magazine or a record store, or just someone would just send you stuff, and they're just like, or through your friends. That's the best one, because you will find a band and they would just say, oh yeah, check this out, and you're, oh, really good. That's the way you found, because obviously back then there was no internet and shit, but it was just through word of mouth, either going to see bands and or checking out the flyers, or they would just hand out flyers, tons of flyers. Then you would just take notes of them, or by your friends just sharing bands.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, funny you mentioned that, because I've got a couple of things here. I prepared a teeny bit for the stream. When I first started getting into death metal, I think I was just kind of not ending, but just kind of starting to branch out finally from my nu metal phase. Because like in early high school, like I listened to heavy stuff like, I don't know, like Slipknot and Mushroom Head and Disturbed, and kind of like the odd random other band that's like sort of heavy, but still metal. But then I didn't really start branching out into death metal until I kind of started going to my local music shop called The Zone, right? And I like to bring this up a lot, but it was kind of like my golden palace of where to go to for music in general back in the day. Like it was just like I'd go to school, do my thing, hang out with my friends, learn what I needed to learn, and then as soon as it was over, I'd be like taking that 20-30 minute walk uptown to check out what's new at the Zone. And you know, the guy Ken Masters who ran it would, you know, either be dealing with a customer or he'd be sitting there for hours and not have too much going on. And those days he'd be like, hey, you know, how's it going? Like, long time no see or whatever. And then he'd, you know, proceed to talk my ear off about every single new, you know, metal band that came in that week. And he'd say, you know, we got the new Cannibal Corpse, or we've got the new Cradle of Filth, or we got the new this or that. And he'd get out one thing that he, you know, gave to me, and it was just like a free thing. It was the very first Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles. And it came with the sampler. Yeah, it came with this Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles sampler called Blood Tracks 1. And it was just kind of a new magazine that was starting out back then. And it's I'm going to open it up here. But yeah, it came out back in 1998. November 1998 was the very first one here. It came with Blood Tracks 1. And it came with like at least 16 or 17 different artists, right? And like I said, I was still kind of going through my, I don't know if you want to call it a phase, but like a new metal phase. And this really opened my mind up to like a bunch of different bands, like kind of see here, and all like the really white letters here are all the different bands, right? So at least like almost 20 of them, 18. And there's just bunch of good stuff on here, like Vision of Disorder, Death, Bolt Thrower, Anthrax, Human Disorder, Spine Shank, Scratching Post, just a bunch of different random bands and stuff like that, but ranging anywhere from death metal to symphonic music to like thrash and just different stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got introduced to some of my earliest death metal bands, and I'll show a couple of the other ones I have here just quickly. It's got a red case, but it's not supposed to be. But Blood Tracks 2, that like 90s CGI artwork is great. Fucking Blood Tracks 3, and then you can kind of see the bands that are on there, right? Like if I hold it, like
yeah,
sort of still, it's hard. And there's the Empire there on the, I guess your left side, my right side. Or Emperor, not Empire, but yeah, that's the first time I heard Emperor or black metal was there. And then the last one I was able to get there, Blood Tracks 4. As you can see, the list of bands there in the yellow, just a bunch of different crazy stuff. But yeah, so that's basically how I got into death metal. Was just kind of introduced through the Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles magazine, and through the guy that ran the Zone back in the day. And then kind of everyone's usual starts, kind of like the big four. So this was my very first like death metal or brutal death metal album that I ever got. It was Tomb of the Mutilated, which some people jokingly say should have been called Eaten Back to Life because of the artwork. But yeah, it's like Hammer Smash Face. I was like, holy fuck, this is the heaviest shit I've ever heard in my life. And like the vocals to me were kind of indecipherable back then. And then I kind of like listened to that a bit, and it wasn't quite my thing yet because it was a little too like crazy and too like indecipherable and whatever. But then I discovered this 6 Feet Under's Bringer of Blood, and the,
oh god.
I know everyone's cringing at this moment, but
no, I love that album. I love that album.
For me, back in the day, without really being too exposed to too much death metal, the vocals on that sounded crazy to me, and you could pretty much understand what he was saying. So it had like that brutal level of things, but then it also had like a death metal version of Black Sabbath. Basically, it's like had these groovy, super hyper groovy death metal riffs, plus Chris Barnes is just over the top fucking vocals. And yeah, it kind of just sent me in the death metal direction. Let's set that over there. And then it kind of got me into stuff like old school death. But this was the very first death album I ever actually picked up, The Sound of Perseverance. And the the track "Bite the Pain" was actually from one of the Blood Tracks samplers, so that's why I got this one first, because that was my first experience with the band Death.
Okay.
I still need to go back, obviously, and get a whole bunch of their other albums, because this is the only physical copy I own. But yeah, so I went into stuff like that, and then once I kind of got used to like the main, like everyone says, like the old school death metal bands and stuff like that, I started kind of going into slightly offshoots of death metal, and I started getting into kind of odd stuff like this. So Death with the Hinderers, kind of like that industrial kind of weird sounding death metal, or whatever you'd want to consider this, maybe melodic a bit too. But yeah, so I started getting into like offshoots like that, and then bands like the Black Dahlia Murder. So they started adding in like more melodic elements and just different kind of riffs that weren't just strictly old school death metal riffs. So yeah, stuff like Unhallowed. And yeah, most of that was just anywhere between like 14, 15 years old and whatever. So like grade 10 to grade 12, where I kind of got into death metal. I didn't really start getting into like slam or you know, gore grind or anything like that until like later years. So like maybe in my early 20s. But yeah, so that was kind of my first experiences growing up and discovering death metal.
Cool. Yeah, obviously the what you were saying, the magazines, sometimes they, you know, like that Bloody Knuckles, they bring some sort of samplers, which definitely helps, because it kind of, you know, shows you a couple of bands from all over the place that you would never have picked up. And then, you know, you the first band that I would have never found is a band called Exit 13. A long time ago on a compilation, Sounds of Death, I think it was called, part 3. Never heard part 1 or part 2, but yeah, it had Hypocrisy in there, it had Sugar, and that band, like Exit 13, I would have never heard. Obviously, afterwards, I did listen to a lot of that, but yeah, it helps a lot, especially like fanzines also help, because you could see the fucking sick artwork, even though it was black and white back in the day, like the Gilmore. But yeah, really good stuff. As far as slam, yeah, I think the first iteration, at least for me, what I think was slam, started with Suffocation, and by one song that's in Effigy of the Forgotten, because they just did the basic slam riff. And then everything that Internal Bleeding, I guess, has done is pretty much, you could consider that slam, because it's just pure riffs. But yeah, I started through Internal Bleeding and bands like that, Pyrexia. I started getting more into like brutal death metal, and then that evolved into slam and stuff. So I did kind of skipped out on some of those bands that I guess new metal-ish. And because there was a dip, I guess, that everybody says in death metal, where which I guess new metal and metalcore came out during those times. So, but I was listening to like just like brutal death metal, like Guttural Secrete and bands like that. But I got into Black Dahlia Murder really late, and bands like that, Darth, or that CD that you showed, which was really good. I do like that, even though it is kind of weird sounding, but had some good riffs on that.
Yeah, Death isn't your average kind of death metal band. They're just kind of odd stuff. Like, I think there was a song called Blood on, or fucking hell, Dead on the Dance Floor. Yeah, Dead on the Dance Floor. It's like a very kind of like electronic, bouncy kind of fucking song, and you're like, what the hell am I listening to? But yeah, it's good. It's got some groovy stuff to it. It's a little eccentric for death metal, but it's nice. It kind of gives you a new taste of that genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, slam and stuff like that. Like I said, I didn't start getting into until like my early 20s, or like around 25 or so. And I think the very first ones I heard were Devourment, Guttural Secrete, and Abominable Putridity's first album. And yeah, to me, it was just like, wow, what am I listening to right now? It's like so, like for Devourment and Guttural Creed, it was just so intense, so heavy, so just like just crazy riffs, and the guttural vocals are just super intense.
Yeah.
And like I discovered Abominable Putridity, and then it was just like all slow, sludgy slam riffs, and then just that, just necro beast kind of gurgly, vocal thing, and I was just like, holy shit, I must own this.
Yeah, because one thing I've always liked the heavier stuff, so I always look for the heavier stuff, and that obviously in death metal, like I said, at first even the genres weren't defined too much back in the day, because I have this one DVD that's called Grindcore that's old, and they have bands like Paradise Lost, they have Nocturnus in there, they even have what is it, Cathedral in there. So obviously it wasn't defined what each subgenre was going to be, but I always liked the heavier stuff, so that got me involved into a lot of other subgenres that actually, like grindcore, crust, and porno grind, which to me is like the heaviest thing. Besides, the lyrics and all that other shit, which I don't really care for. Besides, some of them it's goofy, and I do like that because I'm a goofy fuck too. But but I feel that like, slam has its heaviness because all those riffs. Obviously, death metal is a little bit more has a lot of groove to it, and it's just fast. You could be as slow as possible too, which is good about death metal. And then you got your other extreme, which is going into porno grind, which is a whole different thing. Bands like Cockball Torture, to me, they're like the heaviest band, even though they're slow. If you listen to all their songs, their drums are slow, but it just sounds so heavy. But that's a different subject for for a different stream, I guess.
Yeah, no worries. I think anyone who dabbles in like death metal or extreme metal in general probably has dipped their toes into gore grind or porno grind at one time, just to see what it's like, just to see, what is this fucking crazy cover I'm seeing? What does the music sound like that goes with this, right? So yeah, and you'll get like really just like edgy fucking band names like Razor Rape or Hermaphrodite, Bitch Slaughter, or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, it's like, wow, these the album covers and the band names, you're just like, I have to hear this because this is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'd say porno grind and gore grind are definitely like close cousins to like the death metal genre, because it just has intensity and extremity and like just stuff like that, but it's on a different level. But I still consider it like all kind of extreme metal. So it's kind of under that umbrella, but it's on the like opposite scale. And I find. Yeah. Well, and a lot of like gore grind and porno grind, the production value isn't quite black metal, but it's not the clean, huge production that death metal normally is, because a lot of the porno grind and gore grind stuff is normally like either 1-man or 2-man bands out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, recording in their shed or basement. So.
Yeah, I think it's like you had death metal and grindcore, and then you had crust, and then that kind of you have that sweet spot that I think is like or what do you say, gore grind, right? Bands like Ghoul, I guess, is it gore grind, or Exhumed?
Ghoul is like death thrash with a little bit of like grindy parts.
Yeah, but kind of like Exhumed though, right? Wouldn't that be like gore grind?
I'd have to go back and listen to some Exhumed again.
Yeah, but you got that. Either it could be just pure grindcore, because some of those songs do sound like very grindcore-ish, which is just pure blast beats, and some of the fastest stuff you'll ever hear. And then you got your obviously death metal riffs, but the subject matter, obviously they could sing about anything, which is cool about death metal, because you could Well, in all metal in general, you can sing about politics or any other stuff like that, or zombies like Cannibal Corpse. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another cool thing about death metal is it doesn't all have to literally be about like dying and gore. It can be about political stuff. It can be about depression. It can be about different sci-fi related, topics. I know a ton of fucking like space related slam bands. Like they're obsessed with like aliens and like space related ways of dying and just extraterrestrial stuff.
Ancient aliens, pretty much.
yeah, just like ancient deities from another universe and shit. Yeah. But yeah, that's actually a good transitional topic there. Like, where did I guess Austin, Lord Husk here? When did you start getting into stuff kind of like beyond just like the old school death metal and brutal death metal bands? When did you start kind of getting into like slam or gore grind or stuff like that? If you did.
Honestly, I didn't start getting into slam until I think it was Trez or somebody else told me about Abominable I can't even say the damn band name now. Damn it. The Russian slam band I'm trying. Yeah. Yes.
Too many damn syllables.
I heard him talking about it, and one day I found one of their albums. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go listen to this album. And what got me was the intro of the first song. Because I'm a huge Dead Space fan. And right off the bat, I'm like, these fuckers used the boss fight at the end of Dead Space 1.
Nice.
So I started getting slam into that way. Other bands like, I forgot, what other bands did you ask me about?
Well, just like once you got past like kind of the old school death metal bands and kind of like maybe some brutal death metal bands, like what bands did you start getting into? Like, did you start getting into like gore grind? Did you get into porno grind? Maybe did you get into?
I'm still trying to get myself into porno grind, and guess I still got that CD I bought from you. I just haven't given it a listen to yet.
Rectal depravity.
Gore grind, yes, I haven't listened to it yet.
Wait, which band?
Oh, shame.
It's hard to get into porno grind. That's the problem.
Oh, fair enough, man. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. Grindcore. I don't know if this band is considered grindcore or not, but maybe you can help me out. Pig Destroyer.
I
don't think so.
Listen to them, so
I think they are.
It's hard to say what they are. I think I listened once or twice, and that was it.
I only listened to them once, but I feel like getting material from them. Porno grind is on the top of my list to try out. So, actually, this should be an interesting discussion for me. I can tell you how I got into brutal death metal.
Yeah, man, do it up.
It was in the Metalhead box. I received, one of my favorite band of all time. Everyone knows this by now. I'm not even going to label it. But there's another band called Possessed Entity.
Nice.
And I remember getting that CD, and everyone was hating it because it wasn't what they liked. I put it in my Xbox One, and it's just like, people don't like this. This is like music to me. Because, vocal-wise, because it's very different. You don't hear that much anymore.
Yeah, it's got those like indecipherable gutturals and just really intense stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, be honest with you, I didn't get into brutal death metal until I got the Metalhead box, which was, I think, the same year I graduated high school. I think I got my first box in August of 2017.
Yeah.
That's when they didn't have that shirt, which I didn't care about, but just go off topic a little bit. I remember the day I got it. I was getting off work and my dad showed me it. Popped it open, and you had that little drum pad and pencils.
Yeah.
There was a signed autograph. There was I forgot what else was in it, but I looked at the CDs, Horror Bethlehem, and I can't believe it was in this category. It was, excuse me, Epidemic, Re-Escamation, and Horror Bethlehem. So that's what drove me into brutal death metal, was because of Horror Bethlehem, which I know they also have black metal in it, but I can still hear the brutal death metal.
Yeah, and what was the genre of box that you got? Was it just all metal, or did you?
Yeah, it was all metal.
Oh, okay.
I've been with, actually, funny thing is, I've been with all metal for literally a year now.
No, it's good because it allows you to get like a little bit of everything here and there, right? Like there's been a couple of boxes that I've gotten that I'm like, fuck. I mean, like, I'm glad that I got some black metal, but like I see like a little piece here and there from all the other unboxing videos. I'm like, oh shit, I wish I'd have got that, or oh shit, that looks really, really cool too. Like some of the thrash things that came out, or some of like the slam bands that were included with some of the old stuff. I'm like, damn, like not too bad. Like I wish I had gotten one of those.
There it was a shirt that I've been. No, actually, excuse me, not sure. What am I thinking? I have been wanting to do the death metal box just to see how it is.
Wait, there's a death metal box?
Yeah, you could get one. In the genre, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, when you go to subscribe to the Metalhead box, they have an option at the bottom where it's like pick genre, and like you can have a drop box.
Oh, okay.
Pick black metal, death metal, thrash, something else, and extreme metal now, which is a cross of or a mix of black metal and death metal, right? So yeah, just go to that little drop box for the next month and just click on the next one.
No, I think that's actually what I got. Is for the standard edition box. I got the death metal and black metal. But yeah, I thought there was like a, because I hear everybody say that there's an extreme edition box, which I haven't seen. So I don't know if that was a thing. I'm like, wait a minute, there's just an exclusive death metal one. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, they get you to pick that drop box, and you can pick what genre that you prefer stuff from, and like death metal is one of them. But yeah, there's a new one now. It's called extreme metal, and they include a little bit of like black metal, and they include a little bit of death metal in it, so you get a bit of a mix. Okay. But that's only just within the last 2 months, I think they did that.
Yeah,
it's pretty recent.
Oh, I remember the band now. I feel stupid now. The band, a death metal band I favored the most was Necrot.
Nice.
I wish I was wearing that shirt now.
Have you ever heard of the band called Necrocest?
That seems very familiar to me.
Necrocest.
There's actually, I think there's still a copy of one of the Necrocest albums on CDN Records right now, but yeah, they're not like a super duper well known like brutal death metal band, but they've had a couple of albums out. One's called Prenatal Massacre. I'll try to pull it up here, and of course it's not going to give me the fucking album cover. Why would it? That'd be, helpful. There we go. That's, oh my god, pixelated to hell. Holy shit. All right, it's not going to show up that well, and this is probably going to be really bright on the screen, but there's the cover for the Necrocest Prenatal Massacre.
Oh, okay.
So I know who that band is now. I heard a lot about the band, but I haven't listened to their material, so I guess I got some homework to do tonight.
Yeah. So you might like them. They're like a brutal death metal band. The cover is very recognizable because she's got like a meat hook through her tit.
One thing about brutal death metal, they do not give a shit.
And Azag's got a couple of meat hooks in the background, so he's ready to hook it up.
I've got the thing hanging everywhere, man.
Shit.
So I guess while we're at it, we'll just tackle Azag's experience with it. Like, so Mr. Abyss, when did you kind of get introduced to, like, further down the rabbit hole? When did you like get introduced to gore grind and porno grind, if you did?
Really, like I said, it's kind of been recently with the further outreaches of death metal. Just in the last, I'd say, year and a half, I've started getting into the bands like that. Not really that much into the porno grind, to be honest with you. There's a couple bands here or there, but I more went straight from old school death metal to slam and brutal. So I mean, I kind of skipped over the whole gore grind and porno grind. But I mean, so not a whole lot to talk about there, but just keeping on like brutal death metal, slam. Bands like Murdered and Necroexophilia, Path to Rely, Fumigated, bands like that. I've really been getting a lot of Canadian brutal death metal bands that are really good.
Nice.
I kind of skipped over that whole grind thing.
Repping that True North slam.
Yeah.
True North slam.
I was actually just listening to the new one for Murdered. It's really good.
Killed
to Death. Yeah, that thing's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to get my hands on that. I've been seeing that going around, and it's pretty fucking heavy. I still want to get some Kill Everything or Kill Everyone, Kill Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know which one it is, but yeah, they got some good stuff too. Isn't that like the post like Devourment band?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my microphone keeps falling over here. That and like I think I said it earlier, but Fecalizer is a band I get into a lot, and I guess they're kind of grindish at times, so I guess you could count them in there.
Yeah, they're Mexican gore / scat grind. They like to talk about poop a lot.
Hey, gutter lax, pretty much.
Yeah. The shit beast or whatever.
Yeah, the shit piece. That's another thing, though. There's so many, like, especially in death metal. I know Azag, you've been listening to a lot of bands from Chile, not just black metal, but death metal as well. And there's a lot of great bands from either Central America or there's a lot of obviously Europe and stuff like that. But there's a lot of good death metal bands that some of them have been overlooked over the years because they're from a different country. They're not as accessible, I should say. But yeah, there's so many good death metal bands, old school bands, and obviously now they're still doing it, and they just sound fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm really happy that a couple labels like Redefining Darkness and Deathgasm Records, they're really bringing a lot of those South American and Central American bands into their lineup. So I mean, it's starting to get a lot easier to find those bands. So I mean, especially those two labels with like bands like The Unearthly and stuff like that. Awesome shit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Actually, sorry. There's a band. I might be very late on this one. There is a band I have been checking out. I just need to check this one album out I've been looking at. It's the band's called Guttural Slug.
Nice. Yes, they're awesome.
And the album I'm looking at right now, and I'm debating if I want to buy it or not, is Megalodon.
Yeah, there should be no debating there. You should click buy, add to cart, fucking purchase. Just do it. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're from New York, I think. So that's it.
They're working on a new album right now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it only took them like 10 years to fucking start working on a new one. Like, as soon as anyone heard like Megalodon, they're like, "Oh man, I need more of this." Because I put it right up next. I put them like right up next to like Acranius, and like Disfigurement of Flesh and Gut Rectomy. Just those super, just fucking groovy slams, and like maybe a little bit of like a deathcore influence in there. It's really
Walking the Cadaver.
I mean, Waking the Cadaver.
There's a Waking the Cadaver, yeah. I always get that confused. Walking the Cadaver.
Waking to Cadaver is great. I got like all their albums except maybe for the new one. Or do I have Real Life Death? I don't know. I might. Now I'm curious. Oh, fuck, it's all the way down there. Oh, God. What's this? Well, that's Horror Bethlehem. You don't like them, do you?
Austin?
Fuck you.
Actually, I think I have my shirt. I think it's on the floor somewhere.
Oh, cool. I do have Real Life Death. I didn't think I did, but there we go. Real Life Death. I got the first one too, but I just wasn't sure if I picked up the latest one. They got some demo. They got a demo compilation out now too. Fucking really want to get that.
There you go, Austin.
Nice.
Actually, now that I'm thinking,
is that the one? That's the one you got from the Millhead box, right?
Yeah. My cat was sleeping on it. Sorry.
Yeah, Austin, you sent me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks again for that, man. That's awesome.
Funny thing is, no bullshit. I actually want to get that tattooed on my arm. The album cover.
The album cover.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good album cover. That's the other good thing about death metal, that a lot of hit or miss bands over the years had to do a lot with the album cover, especially not even when you're young, because I still do that shit. Still buy bands just for their album cover, and that's the thing about death metal that I think that was super cool, that always I loved, which is just the artwork. And death metal was always producing some of the coolest artworks ever. Like Incubus still has one of the best album covers to me. I forget the name of the album. Or anyway, another good one has been Addiction, Transcend the Rubicon, which by far is one of the sickest fucking artworks ever.
Yeah, lots of tattoo potential there.
Yeah.
Have you guys checked out the other album they have, Horror Bethlehem? I think the album's called Upon the Judas' Throne.
Oh, is that the album before this? That one? No.
Nope.
It's a good album. I actually went on their Bandcamp and it was like $6. I was like, all right, I'm gonna check this out. I went out, $6. Click. But no, definitely check that album out, because I feel like Upon a Judas' Throne connects to Extinguish the Light, the heaviness. So
fair enough. Was that album more black metal, or was it more death metal?
it sounded like it was more death metal.
Oh,
I think Extinguish the Light had a mixture between both.
Fair enough.
And a huge shout out to those motherfuckers too, by the way.
So if you had to make a prediction, what would you say the third album is going to include more of? Do you think they're going to go more death metal, or do you think they're going to start including more black metal?
I personally, I would love to see like a pure like death metal album from them. But it's probably going to be like a mixture. If not, it's probably going to lean a little bit towards the black metal.
Right. So you'd want it to lean more towards the death metal, but you think they're probably going to lean more towards black metal this time.
Whatever direction they take, I'm going to support them. So,
that's fair, man.
Sorry, right before I got on, I believe Azag, the first band you listened to was Morbid Angel, right?
Yep.
For death metal, which album?
The Covenant.
Fuck yeah.
Rapture, to be specific. Yeah, like I said, I think you kind of missed the tail end of that. We were talking about how we got into it, and my roommate in Japan was pissed off at all the lo-fi black metal every day that I was be blasting. He literally just came in, chucked my CD out the window, and threw in the Covenant. Went to track 2, and he's like, "All right, you're gonna listen to this shit." I was blown away. So I've been listening to it ever since.
Oh, nice. Now, I don't know if that could be a question for the rest of you guys too. Like, first album listening to Morbid Angel was The Covenant. Now, do you find it harder, let's say, like Jesse, you got into that death album. Do you find it harder going back to older albums? Because sometimes the production, as bands progress, the production gets a little better, or sometimes, in some cases, a little bit worse. Morbid Angel, but But do you find it harder going back? Let's say you just heard a Covenant album, and do you find it harder moving backwards, or as far as you just came across, let's say the new Cannibal Corpse, let's say, and during the I guess 2000s or whatever, and would you find it harder to move backwards in their discography opposed to moving on forward?
Well, to use your Cannibal Corpse example, if my first exposure to Cannibal Corpse was George Fisher, and let's say the first album I heard by them was The Wretched Spawn, going backwards, I'd probably be like pretty disappointed because like The Wretched Spawn had some of the grooviest, craziest Fisher era like riffs and stuff like that. It was really catchy and really pretty damn good. But going backwards, a lot of that groove and catchy riffs were just kind of at that point, going from Vile up to there, I think they started losing any sort of originality or any sort of new ideas. And at that point, everything just kind of became this just super duper technical tremolo, recycled paint by number riffs. And then the Wretched Spawn came out. That's when they started. I don't know if there was a new lineup change or whatever happened.
That was a bunch of luck. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Wretched Spawn was a nice little fucking milestone for them when it came to writing style. And if the Wretched Spawn was the first thing I heard by Cannibal Corpse, and I started going backwards and listening to Gore Obsessed or whatever the fuck that one is with that biological beast monster before that.
Unleashing the Bloodthirsty.
Yeah, the Bloodthirsty one.
Bloodthirsty, yeah.
I would be so disappointed because I'm just sitting here all right, every song sounds exactly the same. It's just really fast blast beats and tremolos, and George Fisher kind of doing his, one trick pony, growl, 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 scream, growl, 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 scream. It just yeah, okay, buddy, I get it. Next track. So yeah, sometimes going backwards in discographies a little bit harder. Now as for going from polished production to more raw production, I don't think that would bother me because black metal. But no, it just depends. It depends on the band, and it depends on how much of a drastic change they start going in, depending on where I land when I first hear them. If I was once again Cannibal Corpse, if I first heard something like Gore Obsessed as my first experience to them, and then I went back and listened to Eaten Back to Life or The Bleeding, I'd be like, what in the fuck? Because if I didn't know they changed singers, that would be what am I hearing right now? Is this even Cannibal Corpse? And I don't know if I'd be able to handle hearing Chris Barnes' vocals. Luckily, I got into Cannibal Corpse with Tomb of the Mutilated. So the highlight year for Chris Barnes era Cannibal Corpse. So everything after that was just hearing George Fisher was weird to me, and I could never get on board with it. Sort of like with Black Sabbath. My first experience with Black Sabbath was Iron Man and Paranoid, and then albums like Master of Reality, and then I kind of heard Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and then eventually I heard their first album, and then I bought Dehumanizer. I threw it on. I'm all right, this is some awesome, sick riffs. Awesome, sweet. And then all of a sudden, Dio's voice kicks in. I'd never heard of Dio before. I'd never listened to Dio before. And who the fuck is this angry, curly-haired midget singing and taking over for Ozzy? Fuck this guy. So I was super pissed. And ever since I found out that Ozzy left Sabbath, I called every post-Ozzy album Back Sabbath. Because I thought they stabbed Ozzy in the back and kicked him out. Because I was young, I didn't understand the politics of the band. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was my favorite singer in this awesome band was no longer in it, replaced by this curly-haired fucking midget. So I'm God damn it, what is going on? So yeah, for me, it depending on what band it is and depending on their sound and singer, I can be really put off by a change.
Yeah. No, Azag, did you have a problem going backwards, or?
No, I mean, for me, it's I tend to hang on nostalgia when it comes to metal, especially like death metal and black metal. For me, I enjoy going back, I think, to the beginning more than, you know, some of the newer stuff that's come out. Like, the first time that Rapture riff kicks in, or, you know, the first time you hear, you know, Eaten Back to Life, or it's one of the songs on that record. I think for me, like that, once that nostalgia kicks in, like I don't even hear production value. I don't hear, raspiness in the music. I go back into the zone just like it was 20 years ago, and I'm just fucking thrashing out in my chair, like throwing shit across the room. And for me, I almost enjoy it more than some of the stuff that my favorite bands put out today. Like, I know Morbid Angel a little bit, but
Yeah.
definitely for me, it's all nostalgic. And once that nostalgia kicks in, all that other stuff just kind of disappears.
Cool.
Actually, kind of like on a side note there. Now, I only feel strongly when it comes to bands that I actually connect with. Now, if it's a band that I don't really know or have too much investment in, like Obituary, when I first went and listened to like the early Obituary albums, those vocals just killed it for me. I'm like, I can't listen to this. What is he doing? And then I heard like Written in Blood or whatever the new one was. Basically the front cover has like this torso with like
torso.
Yeah, with like blood or something like carved into his chest. I'm like, man, this is great. I can listen to this. Like I actually gelled with that Obituary album. So like if I'm not invested in a band, I'm pretty decent and open to changes for sure. Like I'd probably buy that Obituary album. I wouldn't, buy Cause of Death or whatever that other really cartoony lo-fi looking cover one is. Slowly
Rebrought.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I probably wouldn't buy shit like that, but I'd probably buy their new stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was the first album, Slowly Rebrought, that I heard. Fucking awesome. Sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
Hey, it's alright. That album you were talking about, it looked like a corpse's chest, right? With something written on his chest.
Yeah.
I think that's Obituary that's written on his chest.
What?
It's Obituary that's written on his chest.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I always hated that album. I'll tell you why afterwards, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The only album I have of Obituary. Oh shit! Now I can't remember the name. It's the only album that has like 3 studio songs and the rest is live.
So it'd be like an EP or something.
I just can't remember the name. I know I also did a giveaway for it as well. 1,000 Ways to Die, I think that's what it was called. Or something. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, that one, that's 10,000 Ways to Die. That's the live album.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
With the three new tracks.
Yeah, that's it then. That's the album I have.
Is that the one? Is that the one that came in the Decibel tour box?
Yeah, actually.
Actually, if fucked up thing is, I actually got mine from FYE. Just like I got Nile and Vader from.
Ah, cool.
Nice.
And I'm just gonna rant a bit on this one, but did you know a Mon Amar's Twilight of Thunder God is still $13.99?
Is that good or bad?
Probably bad if I find it cheaper somewhere else. But it's a good album though.
Just go to a local used CD store, man, and pick it up probably for like $8.
Or just go into the Bandcamp and find it.
Or that, because we wouldn't want to pick up physical copies or anything.
I think you could buy physical copies on their Bandcamps. I think some Bandcamps you can.
I was kidding, but that's good.
I know.
I was totally kidding.
Actually, it is. I know you're kidding, but there's some Bandcamps that you can't find digital copies of them. You have to go onto their official store.
Did you say there's some Bandcamps you can't find digital copies? Or
some of the ones I looked at, physical,
Wait,
not digital.
Oh, okay.
Physical.
I was gonna say because Bandcamp's kind of for the digital copies.
That's why I meant to say physical.
Okay.
I was thinking of something else when I said digital.
All good, man.
This is what happens when you're a gamer and a metalhead. You'll think of some game, and then you'll say digital when you're trying to say physical.
Actually, that's actually a good kind of random topic just for another time. But like, what is your thoughts on physical video games versus like digital video games? I kind of find it weird to just download a video game onto my Xbox.
Actually, that would be an interesting discussion to have.
Yeah.
Well, depends on the game.
I could put my input in if you want me to. I don't have a problem.
Well, just quickly, yeah, because like I personally would find it really weird to just download an entire video game onto my console. Like I need to have that like case there. I need to put in a CD. It's got to be like the whole process for me. Right.
When I bought Star Wars Battlefront 2, I got it for basically $80. When Walmart and other places were selling it for $90. Yeah. So technically, if the same game is cheaper on the Xbox store, you can get it digital.
Right.
But let's say Left 4 Dead. Before it used to be like $5 or $6. Because it's back where it's compatible now, it's $20 now. But with digital, because I don't know, people get charged extra for taxes and shit. But I usually buy games for like $19.99, $20 something $99. But yeah, we should definitely have a discussion on that on the next live stream.
That'd be cool, man. So, speaking of backwards compatible, did anyone find that they got into death metal backwards? Like, did you find that you got into it before a genre that you probably should have got into that first? Because most people, well, I'm speaking when I probably shouldn't speak for people, but you would think, I guess I should say, you would think people would get into gradually heavier and heavier, metal bands. Like they'd start with maybe hard rock, then move into new wave of British heavy metal, and then move into thrash, and then just death metal, black metal, and then just up the ladder or down the rabbit hole, however you want to say it. But did any of you guys get into it backwards? Like, did you get into like, let's say, like maybe you're into like a heavier genre and then kind of move backwards into death metal? Or like an older genre? Because like I know for me, I keep saying like when I was in high school, I was into new metal bands like Mushroomhead, Godsmack, Disturbed, Slipknot, and then I went backwards and I went and listened to like the older stuff like death metal. Like, does any you guys have that experience or no?
I did because of my brother. Yeah. Because I guess he was, obviously older, listened to more shit. I don't even know what the hell I listened to before. I guess he started showing me some shit. But I got into thrash and death metal. I hardly listened to any heavy metal or hair bands or whatever. And then afterwards, I started kind of getting into them, but I was like already too late to experience some of that. But I do have some sort of collection of heavy metal, but I didn't start off with like heavy metal or hair bands and then moved into thrash and then death metal. I started with like thrash and death metal, and then later I started like listening to some of those hair bands and heavy metal and shit. So as far as that genre wise, yes, I did have to go back and listen to some stuff that starting off from scratch, I guess. But I guess I always liked other stuff like Led Zeppelin and shit like that. Obviously Bob Marley, The Doors, and all that stuff, and I obviously still do. But as far as metal wise, I started off with thrash and death metal, and then slowly started listening to older stuff like hair metal bands and heavy metal, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool, because I just figured like some people don't always start off with like the lighter genres and then move into the heavier, more obscure genres. Some people like just get tossed in the deep end, moving away from like one like big genre, like say like if you're into rock and then then you get tossed into the deep end and someone just brings in some like black metal or just brings in some like gore grind, and you're like, you don't even have time to process your way through like new wave of British heavy metal, thrash, death metal, and then this stuff, you just get tossed in the deep end. You're like, what the hell am I listening to?
I think that's pretty much how I found every genre of music, to be honest. I was listening to stuff like Guns N' Roses and shit like that way back in the day. My cousin just picks me up one day and says, "Oh, you're coming with me." Took me to my first Slayer show. It was my introduction to thrash, so that was kind of mind-blowing. Just going from November Rain to Rain and Blood was just kind of like a fucking explosion in my brain. And then, like I said, listened to thrash for a long time, and then I had same cousins like, "Oh, you like that shit? Check this out. Here's some Gorgoroth." Just all over again. And then the whole thing with the CD thrown out the window in Japan, Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angels is all over again. So it's just been like knockout punch after another. But I mean, I preferred it that way. It was just like I just kept getting my ass kicked over and over, and I loved every second of it.
Nice. So you're kind of like Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas, Discovery Snow. What's this? What's this? The motherfuck is this?
Pretty much.
That's funny. Yeah, I think I kind of went backwards in that area too, like where it's like I went from, but this was like really young too. Like I like pre like 12 and 13. I think I was listening to just like, besides what my parents listened to, like it was just like softer stuff like Tom Petty, Tragically Hip, fucking Deep Purple and stuff like that. And then I started like getting into more thrashy stuff. So like Metallica, Megadeth, fucking. I don't think I got into Anthrax that quick. I think it was like grade 8 when I actually heard The Sound of White Noise and Fistful of Metal. Funny thing is, I actually liked Sound of White Noise more than Fistful of Metal for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know. The John Bush era really clicked with me for some reason, but probably because I was more into like Black Sabbath and Ozzy and Alice Cooper and some odd like grunge like Nirvana, and then hearing the John Bush era of Anthrax kind of had that grungy sort of new metal-y thrash sound. So I guess that's where that bridge was. But yeah, I kind of got introduced to genres in a weird ass way too. Well, does anyone else have any other like death metal bands they kind of want to shout out before we go to the next topic?
I do, but the band that I was going to give a shout out to, I'm looking up right now, and they've been split since 2013.
Oh,
and the conversation about going backwards, actually, it's funny story, because when I was into like new metal and stuff, I looked up a band called Ilnath, and that was a melodic black or symphonic / melodic black metal, and that was their earlier time, and then like their later time was like melodic death metal.
You say El Nino?
No.
Ilnath.
Ilnath. Oh.
And the first album I heard was Second Skin of Harley Quinn.
Second Skin of Harley Quinn?
Yeah. I'll have to send you the info.
That's an interesting song title.
No, that's an album.
That's an album title.
Yes. The song I listened to was Ravenous Crows. And that was, when I first heard it, I literally made the joke to my friend. I said, dude, check this band out. He's like, why? This is, if you ever wonder how Donald Duck would sound in a death metal band, here you go.
Jesus.
But the thing is, the guy who was the vocalist of that band left, and there was a female who took his spot. Nothing against females, but when you're used to a certain person being in the band, you prefer that person.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Like it's one thing going from one male vocalist to another male vocalist. It's another thing to go from like a male vocalist to a female vocalist, and you're kind of like, no.
No, sometimes it's for the better. Like look at our Arch Enemy.
You think
Arch
that's
Enemy?
better?
Yeah, Arch Enemy.
On it,
They had
honestly,
a male vocalist for a long time until they finally switched to their previous vocalist, Glasgow, I think her name was. But yeah, it was a good change.
the newest vocalist? You mean
better?
Alyssa is the newer vocalist. I think
yeah,
that's
Elisa.
her name, Alyssa.
I think her Elisa.
But they
But
used to have another female vocalist before that. Her last name was Glasgow or something like that. But before that, Angela Glasgow, yeah. But their original vocalist was a dude that I never cared for his vocals at all.
You didn't like the Black Earth era?
To be honest, I'm not. I have their CDs, a couple of their CDs, not from the new Alyssa era, because I stopped listening to Arch Enemy a while ago. But I wouldn't know their album. What do you call it? Albums by name, so I wouldn't know. I just know I have a couple of their albums with the dude on vocals, but yeah, I wasn't a fan too much.
I'll take them.
Yeah, man. Once I get to that case wherever I have them, I'll send them to you.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
But honestly, nothing against Doyle's girlfriend, nothing like that. But when I got introduced to Arch Enemy, my best friend, who didn't really listen to metal, Arch Enemy came up on the TV. He sent me the band name, so I looked up the band, and the song I listened to is Yesterday's Dead and Gone from Chaos Reigns, I believe it's called. And honestly, I think Elisa has a good voice and all, but I think Angela beat her with the brutalness to her vocals.
Yeah, it sounded more vicious.
Oh yeah, Alyssa should have stayed with fucking the
antagonist.
The agonist.
Yeah.
And
the agonist.
I don't know who the fuck the new vocalist is, but she can't sing worth a damn.
You mean Doyle's girlfriend?
No. I mean the agonist vocalist.
I don't even know who that. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't even know who that fucking band is. I heard the name, but that's it.
Really? Check out the Agonists. They're actually really good. I don't have anything that I can whip out at the moment, but no, like the first two Agonist albums were really good. I saw them live when Alyssa was still with the band. Speaking of which, isn't Doyle a little old for her? Is like 20 something, and he's got to be in his.
Look, can I tell you something? You realize Jeffrey Nunn is 53 years old, right?
Okay.
And I think his fiance is 24, or his girlfriend.
Here's
the thing. And I feel bad for these band members. What they don't realize is these young girls are dating them for their money.
No. Tell them to stop that. Get a rolled up newspaper and be like, no, stop that.
I don't want to do that to Doyle's girlfriend because I might get my ass kicked.
No, do that to Doyle. Be like hit him on the nose with the newspaper. Like, no, date a woman of respectable age. That's gross. Like,
do you forget how big he is compared to me?
She wasn't even born when the dude was 30. Okay, so stop that. Gross.
Hey, it's what they want, you know.
Ugh. You know, after a certain age, it kind of just looks like Dumbo eating grapefruits, right? Like it's just.
Oh my god. Yeah, bro. Why'd you put that image in my head?
Why do I have to have that image in my head? Like 20-year-olds, 50-year-olds? Come on.
Sounds like we just stumbled into a porno grind.
Yep.
Anyway,
go listen to Rumpa Prop now.
Yes, Rumpa Prop. Hell yeah. That would be a good topic also too, like female vocals. Obviously, should have like a female person also in the
two rules for metal. No female vocals, no keyboards.
Oh no. Wait.
Honestly,
No.
honestly,
No. I'm against that. No.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
actually, it's funny because there are some female vocals that don't sound too good in certain bands, and then there's those ones that just sound perfect.
Yeah, like Nocturnal Slaughter Cult. What is it called? Damn, I can never get that. I can't get the
Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult.
There you go. I can never get the which one goes first. But yeah, man, that girl, amazing.
Too many adjectives.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, guitar player and vocals, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, actually an amazing female vocalist for a black metal band is the chick from Demonic Christ. That shit's amazing. Check out Demonic Christ. Everyone watching right now, shut this shit off and go listen to fucking Demonic Christ.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't listen to that.
But my favorite female vocalist is Simone Premiers, I think it's from Cerebral Bore.
Oh.
Well, ex-Cerebral Bore. Well, yeah.
Crap. Now we're talking about female death metal vocalists, and I can't just remember the one I listened to. Shit.
Well, while he's thinking, check out Awaiting the Autopsy.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. The female vocals on that. Oh yeah. Not like Randy Savage right now for some reason, but
if anyone has go ahead.
Yeah, Awaiting the Autopsy, man. That the backing vocals is just fucking awesome. Awesome.
A good female vocalist, I just can't remember her name, but I do know that there was I don't know if she's still a YouTuber, but Emily, she's in a band called Sisters of Suffocation.
Mm-hmm.
That vocalist is surprising, like, because I'm like, all right, this is probably going to be like another arch enemy. And for that, I apologize to that band. But no, I'm giving them a shout out too. Definitely check out Sisters of Suffocation. They are a badass band.
Yeah, really good riffs, really good band.
True. Also check out Straight Line Stitch.
Oh my god, I forgot about that fucking band.
Yeah, Straight Line Stitch is good. Check out New Year's Day.
What is that? YouTube?
They're like a female-fronted like rock band. It's sort of like In This Moment.
Oh yeah. Oh cool.
We just brought up a band I can't stand.
You don't like New Year's Day?
No, the other one.
In This Moment.
I can't stand that band. I can't stand it.
They had like the last two albums before. The new one was pretty good. The new one sucks. The new, like the black one, where she's kind of like levitating, like stiffer than a board, lighter than a feather, looking fucking front cover. Yeah, that one's garbage. But the two albums before that were pretty good. The one with Whore and Bloodline, Blood Queen or something. I don't
know. Actually, the only member I respect in that band is Travis Johnson, because he had his own band before he went back. And I screenshotted and sent it to you. Actually, that band. I mean, it's a new metal band, but it's a great fucking band.
Hey man, you know me. I like new metal.
I have to definitely send.
Come get some.
I gotta definitely send it to you guys in the Facebook Messenger. Definitely check it out, because Travis Johnson, who's the bassist of In This Moment. Yep, you know I hate him. You know you hate a band enough to where you're pronouncing the name wrong.
Well, then that means I would hate every band, because I mispronounce every single band out there.
No, I'm just saying.
Band, I'm gonna fuck it up.
I mean, everyone knows how to say Whore Bethlehem, so.
Yeah, even I can't fuck that up.
But no, definitely, Travis Johnson has a phenomenal voice. Fuck, I wish I could say the name, I just can't say it. Next stream, I'll probably give that band a shout out too.
All good, man. Well, we got a half an hour left. Do we want to start talking about some of our favorite local bands?
Oh, Jesus. Here's that list starting now. Now, does it have to be a death metal local band, or can it be any?
No, just any of your favorite local bands.
Well, let me start first, because I still remember them by heart. One of the most recent ones, Bleed Season. Fucking great band. If some of you guys have are subscribers to Trez's YouTube account, if you guys are subscribed to Azag's channel or Jesse's channel, but you don't know mine, definitely check out Bleed Season's. I did my channel out with the interview with Bleed Season. Guys are fucking down to earth. Other bands like I really wish I interviewed this band. Lost my chance of doing it. Azag knows the band I'm about to say, but Lucifanian Insectus. Great local band from Florida. Unique style of genre they have, which is a blacking death metal with chamber doom. A slight influence with chamber doom.
Nice. No, that's a pretty sweet combination.
That's actually
it is.
Nice sounding.
A local band I got to meet, but it's sad that the vocalist is gone. Conviction was a great local metal band. And it's sad that the band never picked up. And it's really upsetting to me to this day. Another band that I have seen, but I know the actual ex-lead vocalist, and I'm following his new band. My buddy Frank, who was from God Rot, that was a phenomenal band as well. But now he's making a progressive metal band now.
Cool.
So when I get a care package from him, I'm definitely going to tell you guys all about it. And I think the last local band I have met, I can't remember the name, but I gave the guy my phone number. His name is Khalil, and his band mixed in with R&B and stuff. It's a weird, unique style. Hey, I mean,
is it R&B?
I mean, they have slight R&B, but it didn't sound like it when I was listening to it. Then again, I was getting hyped for Doyle, so.
Cool.
Which, before I continue, if anyone on this or is watching the stream and you don't know who fucking Doyle is, you guys have excuse my language, you need to check them out, because these guys are fucking badass. I've seen them twice. Definitely check out Doyle out. If you guys are into like the Misfits and Gorgeous Frankenstein and the Crimson Ghost, Doyle is up your alley.
True. Yeah, man. You gotta watch it with that language here, because you know how PG-13 this channel is, man.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that. I'm from New York, so fuck that. It's funny because I was gonna tell you I was gonna wait a little while before I told you mention Doyle, because I know that you're it's like mentioning Horror Bethlehem pretty much. But I was binge watching I think it's called Digital Tour Bus. It's like a YouTube channel that they go on. Yeah, they go on tour buses. Like the first one I saw was Nile. They will go chill out, and they'll do a little tour of how they get by pretty much. And one of those videos that I saw was Doyle. So yeah, you might want to check that out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I forgot who it was. Oh, it was Charlie. Charlie said one of his buddies who was in a band toured with them, and I guess his buddy went up to him and said it was great to playing with him. I guess Doyle gave him an attitude. Well, I'm gonna put my foot down and I'm going to clear up some information. If you guys are not in his shoes and what he has to deal with on every tour, please don't talk shit about him. I met the guy twice. Guy was down to earth. And, well, Alex is always down to earth. He's more fucked up in the head than anything else, but I got mad love and respect for that band.
Doyle or the band that
Both.
we're talking about?
Alex, Doyle, and the rest of the band.
All right.
Well, that I could, understand that, not everybody's going to be, they have their ups and downs, especially being on the road and stuff. You might get you might have a fight with your girl or whatever. And you're just not into, like, especially on tour, you're in a bus or in a van with a bunch of dudes for a long time, and sometimes you need your personal space and shit. So
yes,
I could understand that they're not in the mood sometimes. That's why sometimes I think twice to approach some bands. Because it's hard that I know that you're, as a fan, you want to take their picture and stuff, but you also gotta sometimes give bands their personal space, especially because they just want to take a shower, because I know playing live sucks, especially me. I'm a fucking husky bitch, and after playing, I sweat my ass off. So that's the last thing I want to do. I'm like, dude, don't fucking, for your own sake, don't get close to me. So yeah, I could understand.
Well,
that's the last thing they want sometimes.
Yeah, but they're cool. If you guys go see them live, I'm gonna let you guys know now. Alex Story is a trip. He will make you laugh. Because 2 times I've seen him, he'll say something like, "Oh, this next song is a love song. If you want to dance to it, go right ahead." And it's just the comedy he comes up with. And yeah, definitely go check him out live. Definitely check out As We Die if you haven't checked it out already. It's a great fucking album.
Cool. Trez, what are some local bands that you've seen live? Do you want to shout out and whatnot?
To who?
To
who?
Trez.
To me. Oh shit. Let's see. Local bands. Drawing a blank. Wait. One cool band that I don't even know if they're around anymore, so I don't even know. But they have one of the coolest band names called Slaughter the Prophets. Really awesome death metal band, or semi-brutal death metal band. But yeah, they've been really cool. Mad Diesel is another crusty grindcore-ish band from Brooklyn, really good. And one of the last bands that I don't even know if they are local bands, but they're pretty up there, I guess. It's called Winter Nights. They play melodic death metal, kind of like Amon Amarth type-ish, old school Amon Amarth. And they're semi-big now because they've been playing with some good bands. They opened up for Dark Tranquility and stuff like that when they came by. So yeah, good stuff. They played with Winter Sun, so I mean it's good. But I mean there's a slew of local bands. That obviously I didn't do my homework for, but those are like 2 that I could. Let's see, what's another one? Hate Diplomacy, but I know that they kind of blew up now, so I don't know how local. I guess they are semi-local, but yeah, I guess it would be those bands. Hate Diplomacy is a mixture between Dehumanize and Waking the Cadaver. So
cool. Yeah, man. it doesn't have to be like super duper underground, not heard of locals. It can be like big name locals if you really feel like it. But yeah, cool stuff, man. What about you, Azag? Any local bands you've seen recently or think deserves some attention?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I live in the middle of Ohio, which surprisingly has a very diverse metal scene. One that I've seen recently that I highly recommend is called Burial Oath. They're kind of a not really black and roll. They're more black metal, but they have some really groovy riffs at times. I just ordered a bunch of shit from their Bandcamp after watching them. Cool dudes. It's got kind of a take feel to it at times, where it's not really bound to any certain style of black metal. They kind of jump around and just whatever the hell they feel like writing. But those dudes are really killer. They're from not far from here. Nail Black. They recently signed to Redefining Darkness Records at the end of last year and put out their first killer black metal band. Really fast, aggressive, modern shit. I think the album was called Envy. That shit was really good. There's a really good old school death metal band that's been here forever in Balmer. They're fucking disgusting.
Yes.
They've been around since like 89 or some shit like that. Awesome live. Killer stuff. It's a funeral doom band. They're called Beneath Oblivion. They're pretty good, and it's just kind of a change of pace type band to go see, but that's it for the most part. There's pretty good pagan metal bands around here too, like Winter Hymn, but I don't go see those bands as often, mainly in Balmer, Burial Oath, stuff like that.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, around my area, it's mostly like metalcore and deathcore bands. So like bands such as like Beguiler, Drag the Lake. There was a big deathcore band that was around here for quite a while called This Is Death Valley. They broke up a couple years back. Unfortunately, I have their first album or EP, depending on how you want to look at it, called We Are the Destroyer. I want to get their Athos album that they came out with after that, like in physical copy. But yeah, they're really good back in the day. I saw them multiple times. Another local band around here that's been just kicking it for what seems forever is a band called In the Act of Violence. They've gone through a couple of different styles. They've gone through some like metalcore. They've gone through deathcore. They've done a little bit of melodic death metal, and recently they're starting to include more slams. So yeah, they've kind of been here and there with their style. They've been around since probably 2000. I think I got into them mostly in 2010 and 11, but they've been around since a little bit before that. Another like really good band that I like that's around this area. I saw them at a punk show. They're called The Electric Dead. I definitely want to give a big shout out to The Electric Dead. They put on a great horror punk show, and I got a shirt from them. I still need to get some of their CDs and whatnot, but yeah, just excellent band. If you like the Misfits, they also have a side project called the Shit Fits, which is kind of a Misfits covers band. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, big shout out to the Electric Dead, really cool band. There's a band as well. It's kind of pop punky, but I really like their stuff. It is what it is. But they used to be called Tomahawk Love. Now they have this fucking they changed their name from Tomahawk Love, which is extraordinarily like memorable and like sticks in your head, to this really generic thing that I can never remember. I don't know why they did it. I can't even remember the fucking name now. It sucks because they changed it and it's like a non-memorable name. But they used to go by the name Tomahawk Love. I saw them at the venue called the Mustache Club, so that was cool. And they actually shouted out like a tribute to me for their song called wow, how am I forgetting this now? It's because I'm put on the spot. But, yeah, they shouted out like this one goes out to Jesse. And yeah, it was pretty neat. So I got them to sign the album and whatever. There was a big local black metal band around here back in the day that used to play with Fallen Legion and a bunch of other dudes. Shout out to Fallen Legion. They're called holy shit, this is bad. How am I not remembering? But anyways, they played stuff like really just awesome black metal, and they broke up I think 3 or 4 years ago, and now they're in 2 different bands. Really sucks that they did, because I wasn't into black metal back when they were doing their thing, so like it just sucks that I ended up getting into black metal just as they were basically breaking up. If I think of it later, I'll try to put their name in the description box below. But yeah, there's quite a bit of like not super duper local black metal bands. Like there's a lot of black metal bands up in Quebec and Montreal area, which is like a 8 hours drive north for me. And then there's like a bunch of pretty decent black metal bands and stuff like that in BC, like Finite and Fire Cult. I try to promote them quite a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if Finite or Fire Cult ever like try to come east, maybe seeing them if they could come by. But yeah, there's quite a bit of all right like local bands around here as well. Just most of them are just metalcore and deathcore, though. You don't have too many like big super duper death metal bands or black metal. The last one I'm going to shout out is Existential Dissipation. It has Frank from Corporephemia in it, and it's got Bob from Cuff in it. So that's kind of like a bigger slam brutal death metal band that's around here. And I know there's Dyslabia, who got Jeff in it from Dyslabia. I don't know if he's Alberta or if he's Northern Ontario. I can't remember now. But yeah, shout out to Dyslabia. Some awesome slam kind of grind band stuff. Any Wigger slam recommendations? No. That's just a silly freaking genre title too. Like,
all genres, out of them all, that is the one that should have never been made.
I can only literally think of like epicardiectomy and guttural something cephaloectomy. I don't know.
Let's see.
I can only think of the 2.
Stab Wound, an old school band that doesn't exist anymore from Sweden. I believe it was a slam band that is in that genre. But yeah, Stab Wound's a good band.
Yeah, so basically slam, but look like they're gonna open for fucking 50 Cent and Little Peep.
Yeah, I remember I got Brutal Bands live Domination, I think it was called, or it's kind of like what they put out, kind of like the Hell Bash from Headbangers, Hell's Headbangers type deal a long time ago, and I got that DVD, and that was one of the bands was Stab Wound. And yeah, when I saw the Vocalists, snapback hat and stuff like that, and almost like rapping and stuff, but it's slam, so it does kind of sound that way. But yeah, Stab Wound would be, I guess, my recommendation besides Epicardiectomy.
Epicardiectomy actually has a new album coming, don't they?
Hell yeah, it's fucking awesome.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Is Visceral Disgorge doing anything new, or are they just touring?
They're just touring. Actually, I just saw them on Friday with which I didn't think they were on the bill. I know they were part of the Suffocation tour with Chrysium and Cattle Decapitation. That's where I got this flag anyway, by the way. But yeah, the Vocalists did announce that next year they're coming out with a new album. So yeah, so next year is a new album.
Sweet, sweet. Actually, I just remembered another one. Not the one that I wanted to remember, but Panzerfaust. They're another Canadian black metal band.
Yes.
Pretty local. I think they're Toronto based.
Oh really? Yeah, I actually saw them last year with they were playing with Belphegor, and yeah, they I bought a back patch from them. They're like fundamentalist black metal, which really cool. If you guys get a chance to ever see that band live, they have this huge guy that has this monstrous voice. Obviously probably turns his microphone all the way up, but just the sound when they're playing live, it just sounds so fucking awesome sounding. Yeah, Panzerfaust is a great band, good band.
Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to look up what the name of the fucking band is that I used to see a lot. I can't find it. I looked up Ontario black metal, and the only thing that's coming up is the Northern Ontario Black Metal Preservation Society, and it's like, what the fuck even is that?
Damn.
Like, I've heard of it before.
Preserve their black metal.
I think it's actually a band. I don't even think it's like an actual like society of anything. Like, this is what's popping up. If anyone knows what the fuck that is.
I'm gonna say it looks like a metal band.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna straight up to it.
It's obviously like a black metal band from Canada. It's just I'm trying to find the one. Yeah, I'm not getting it here. It's so pissing me off right now. But they deserve the fucking shout out. So I'm just gonna keep looking. Hopefully they'll pop up. I know Sorcier de Glace is another Canadian black metal band. We got Pagan Hellfire here.
I think I have all their stuff. I love those guys.
Fortress is getting the rounds. They're from like Montreal, so like an 8-hour drive from me. AMSG, they're from Edmonton. I got a couple of their releases. They got some interesting,
questionable.
Well, they got some interesting kind of like personal beliefs and stuff like that. I had to unfollow like a couple of the members just because I didn't really gel with them that well, and I just had too big of urge to just kind of like put my 2 cents in, and that would just start some unnecessary back and forth that just isn't necessary because they're just artists. They're just making their music and their opinions kind of overlap from their personal life to their band. So like, there's no point in kind of like going, hey, what you're saying here is kind of a little racist, or what you're kind of saying here is a little like elitist or whatever, right? Like, there's no point in putting in like those kind of opinions when it comes to their stuff. So instead, I just kind of like unfollowed and unfriended because I don't want to start interjecting those kind of opinions and having like a back and forth between bands, because then you end up having to like do one of those things where it's like, okay, this guy's being an asshole, but I still like the music, and then you're going to be like, now I have to separate the art from the artist, and the less you have to do that, the more you can actually enjoy the music. So I still want to, I still want to listen to AMSG and not have negative feelings about it, and still enjoy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. Like you got to separate the music. It's one thing. I always said this: listening and hearing. You could hear the music, and the other thing is listening to what the hell they're saying. Now you just choose not to listen to it. That's one thing. It's kind of like obviously porno grind. There's a lot of fucked up shit in some of those bands, and obviously I choose to listen to the music, not what the hell they're talking about. It's kind of the same thing with AMSG. When I actually bought their entire collection, or like a what do you call it? I forgot what they call it on eBay, because I got their whole thing on eBay. A lot. Yeah, I think it's called a lot. I bought the whole lot for AMSG, and I pretty much got all their stuff. And granted, I've only heard, I forgot what it's called, the Transformation something, but I have a flag from them. But which I liked the music. I never listened to their lyrics or whatever. And going through their LPs, I picked up one. I'm like, whoa, hello. But it doesn't take away from, I guess, just the music wise. And so I choose not to fucking go into that. So yeah, I'm obviously Latino, so that will obviously offend me in any way. But I choose not to go into that, and listen to what the hell they're saying and get into their lyrical themes and stuff like that. I just like their music. That's what drew me into them when I saw them on YouTube. I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty good. I like them that much to get into their music, not whatever the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Another two pretty good Toronto-based black metal bands here is Thantaphaxith and Cryptic Howling. They're actually really, really good bands that are from my area. Now, I see in the comments here, and I'm not gonna say anything too, whatever, but Sedition through Scorns is trying to make an appearance here. He says, nice to see you avoiding Peach's comment about not giving me credit on the death metal topic. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, Jake.
No.
If you have some sort of insight you want to give on death metal, feel free to talk about it in the chat since you're here. I'm not purposely avoiding if I have time, I in the chat we're
Jesse's. Hello. Hello.
Oh. I don't know what happened there. What was the last thing you heard me say?
I couldn't tell because you were being robot mode.
Yeah.
Oh. Am I coming in better now, or?
Yeah, no, you're coming in clear now. You're Christopher Hawking in the with the last parts about it. But yeah.
What was the last clear thing I said then, I guess? And I'll go from there.
I don't know. That's all.
I think the last thing you were saying was telling Jake to talk about the band. Wait a minute, hold on.
Well, the one thing I just have to as far as that last comment, when we were talking about this next topic, we were all in a chat, and me and Jake were talking about what could be a cool topic. Like, we covered black metal, and we talked about doing death metal for this week's. So as far as that, yeah. Yeah, me and Jake kind of thought of the topic of talking about the death metal topic. So yeah. So cheers to Jake for that.
All right. Well, yeah, man. I'm not gonna not give you credit if it's just I can only remember so much shit, man. Like, so yeah, if Jake and Trez thought up the, you know, intro to death metal topic, you know, kudos to Jake for coming up with the idea, and kudos to Trez for coming up with the idea. Once again, man, if you want to talk about your experiences with death metal and how you got into it in the chat, feel free. If there's a topic that you want really to get discussed, once again, just send a super chat. It's like a measly $2, and then, you know, the rest of us in the panel will, you know, address your question. I know Jessica from Death Metal Drummer's Wife likes to donate a little bit here and there to the channel to get her question read live and answered. So I do try to pay attention to the chat, you know, when I have time in between discussions, but we don't always have time to look at every single you know, thing that is being said in the chats. We don't always catch everything that's being, you know, directed at us in the chat. It's just how it is, man. So don't feel like we're purposely ignoring you. Don't feel like we're purposely avoiding any questions. It's just we've got topics that we've planned for each Sinister Sunday episode, and, you know, sometimes people aren't finished speaking or, you know, giving their opinion on each topic. So, you know, we kind of have small intermittent times when we can actually go to the chat and see what's being said and maybe answer some people there. But for the most part, if you really want your question answered and time spent on it via the panel, like I said, a simple $2 super chat's all it really takes. It pops up in like big, bold, like letters, and I notice it. And, you know, since you are taking the time out and, you know, supporting the channel that way, I'm obviously going to take my time out and answer it. So yeah, it's not like I'm trying to purposely discredit someone or not answer something. It's just what we have time for, and like where all the attention is kind of going back and forth. So no disrespect to anyone in the chat. It's just how it is, man. And so yeah, just credit goes to Sedition Through Scorns and Trez for tonight's main topic. So Jake, if you're watching, feel free to, you know, talk in the chat with the other people there and give your opinion on it and your first introduction. That's, you know, doesn't bother me at all. We have hit the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna have to shut this down pretty soon. So if there's any more big local band shout outs you guys want to do before we end the broadcast, feel free to give them a shout out now.
There's one band I haven't gave a shout out for, and I just remembered it. But there's a band I sent to you guys last night. I have one of their songs, and I'm good friends with the guitarist, who his name is Matt. Huge fucking shout out to Death of a Deity. I can't say the name right, saying it fast, but if Jesse wants to, he could put their track in the description down below, so you guys check them out. They are a local band from Florida. I believe they're a death metal band, if I'm correct. So definitely check them out. They got some good riffs. I mean, it's phenomenal for their first track they have out right now at the moment. Right.
All right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get the Rebel panel here post stream to just in the Rebel stream chat. Just you guys send me in some links to you know, to the bands that you most feel really deserve the attention, and I'll like gradually start putting in links below in the description box for this video of like, I'll maybe put like Husk's recommends or Trez recommends or Azag's recommends. I'll just put like a space below your guys' channel links and just kind of put a line through, and then underneath I'll just kind of throw in the information as we go. So anyone who's watching this in the future will be able to, you know, click on these links and check out these local bands that probably definitely deserve the attention. So I'll do that post stream so that you guys know that you can find them there in a future video. But yeah, we'll just do that just so that it's fair and so that people can actually get a hold of these like cool local acts.
Yeah, that's cool. Cause I was gonna suggest something too. It's kind of like what you're talking about right now. Besides just the local bands that we all know and stuff in our hometowns
Right.
or state. But I was gonna like suggest like what are each and every one of us like every week what band we could recommend to whoever wants to listen to it, like say whatever band that you're into right now, or you just came across and you think other people should probably listen to. So yeah.
Yeah, man. So that sounds good. So just after the stream, I'll get each one of you guys to give me like 3 or 4 links to certain bands, and I'll just kind of put them underneath the description box so that future viewers can check it out.
All right. I have to correct myself on some because I sent you a link to their actual YouTube channel. They actually just came out with a second song today, and I didn't know that.
And is that the Death of a Deity?
Yes.
Cool.
I also sent the interview with Bleed Season and one of their songs as well. So anyone who's new to the stream and don't know my content, I mean, they have something to go on now.
Alrighty. Also, I know there's kind of talk about panel members being absent from the stream. I'm to anyone wondering where Jake or Charlie is, I'm not going to get into the discussion of why they're absent from the panel in this stream or moving forward. That information is between the Rebellion family and them. They know why they're not present for this stream or any future streams. I'm not about drama. I'm not about revealing information like that. The Sinister Sundays are for us to talk about metal and music and just our common ground on that. So it's not about personal stuff like that. So hopefully anyone in the live chat or the future streams don't question us about that, because I don't feel comfortable answering any questions about that. If the people you're wondering about their absence feel like discussing it with you, that's up to them. But as for me, I don't feel comfortable with it, and that's not what the Sinister Sundays are about. It's about music and metal and stuff like that. So hopefully that's what you're here for. Anywho, good stream, guys. Really appreciate everyone's thoughts on everything. Really cool to find out how everyone got introduced to death metal and what kind of bands they got into when they first discovered it or got introduced to it. Really neat to hear about some of the local acts that are around you guys and some of the shows you went to. Once again, I will be post-stream editing the description box to fulfill everyone's recommendations and stuff like that. So future viewers of the stream and Sinister Sundays have something to go in and check out and possibly discover some awesome new bands. Thank you everyone in the chat for joining us. Really appreciate you guys hanging out, chatting amongst yourselves, and getting some cool feedback on different bands and stuff like that. Thank you to the Rebellion panel here, that being Lord Husk of the Mr. Evilob's channel, Trez from Total Metal Rejection, and Azag from Azag's the Best. Keep that Cracker Barrel train rolling, bro.
You see what you had to go and start? Azag, do you see this shit?
I got that pepper jack craving now.
Actually.
Thanks for joining us. Much appreciated.
We got one thing to say. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
I want to just give a quick shout out to Jessica from My Life as a Death Metal Drummer's wife. She sent me a cool package, which I did make a video, and I'm still rocking the shirt like a couple of days later. Still, so yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, cheers to Jessica for supporting the Rebellion and the stream, and each of our panelists here. I know you guys have been getting like some promo packs and some care back packs from her. We really appreciate that. We love helping your husband's band and his touring bands and stuff like that get some recognition, because they definitely deserve it. They put in the hard work, they put in the blood, sweat, and tears to bring us entertainment. So we really appreciate that. But yeah, anywho, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we introduce you to some cool new bands. I know we've got some stuff coming in the description box in the future that you should definitely check out. Much appreciated. And that's it. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Sinister Sunday over.